Now.
You on Facebook? Are you on Facebook now?
I'm on Facebook now. Okay. Hey, everybody. We are live as we are talking here in Santa Barbara, California. Today I let my hair down. It's a beautiful day. It's been raining all day. We've been having a good time taking care of business. We just had Jason Haynes. Is it Haynes, I believe, just joined. Thank you very much for popping on. Got a great program tonight. I think you'll find it very exciting. We take a few minutes, let everybody kind of jump on before we get going here. Also, if you don't have access to a computer, or your computer's down, you can't see it or whatever, you can also call the conference call number right here, 515-739-1256. Access code 189248#. You can also be able to catch us on there as well. Well, last week we talked a little bit about the shadow and getting the shadow to carry you where you want to go. So before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the concept of map training. And there's 5 characteristics of map training, and we're going to talk about how that has an impact on your life. First thing of map training is that you have to be aware that you're under invasion. That's characteristic number 1, that you're under invasion. And the invasion is happening 24/7 in 5 different areas of your life. Your physical life, your psychological life, your spiritual life, your financial life, and your concept of your soul and spirit. All 5 of those are being invaded on. It's very interesting. I was looking around and checking things out today on music. And as I looked on music, hey there, Mariah. Thanks for coming on. It's just good to hear and see from you right there. Music, you have music, most of it is at what we call 440 hertz. But the music that seems to be the most soothing is at 432 hertz. And that is the pulse and the energy of the earth and the universe. It runs at that level. Everything, we have bumped it up to 440, and that is an invasion on your psyche. It's to get you to feel a certain way. So you got to ask yourself the question, who did that? Why would we change from something that is spiritually better for us to listen to than something that would be aggressive to our way of life and our way of thinking? So, I was thinking about that today as I was doing my day, and I started listening to some music. I went online. I said, listen to some music at 432 hertz, and I was listening to somebody at 440 hertz. And it was pretty amazing how I felt afterwards. I was feeling so much better after I listened to music that was at 432 hertz. But most music is played at 440 hertz. So there's an invasion that takes place in our auditory, what we're listening to. If you watch the news, there is a invasion taking place there. See, they call news programming. Why do they call it news programming? They call it news programming because it's about programming you to think a certain way so you'll buy X product, whether or not you like it or not, or even need it. Hey, thank you very much, guys, for coming on. Alice and Carol just joined. Thanks very much, you guys. Hi, how you doing? Appreciate that. Like I said, this week I decided to let my hair down and just kind of hang loose and do a really cool presentation for you guys this evening on what we call the 7 secrets of turning your dreams into treasure. So we'll get into that in just a couple of minutes. But last week we talked about the shadow and how it causes challenges in your life and how it prevents you from really getting to where you want to go. It is the roadblock. It might be having something to do with that 440 hertz. And that's something we will talk about more next week. But tonight we're going to be looking at these 7 secrets. But it goes right along the line of the 5 characteristics of map training, which I said was number 1, your physical body. Number two, your psychological issues that you have in your life. It's your personal complex. Number three, your social interaction in the world. Number four, your consciousness of soul and spirit. And five, your finances. All five of those help you grasp life so you can be able to have a powerful, influential life, and things can really expand and grow for you when you're able to leverage those. The five characteristics of map training is the first one, you're under invasion. So we're talking about the concept that we're under invasion. So how are you being invaded physically? Let's think about that for just a second. If you were to look at every ingredient and every packaged product that you would buy, you'll notice that there's sugar in there. So sugar is in every single thing. So you have to be careful about that. And that's really causing great grief on our society. And it's causing low blood sugar, problems with that, and also diabetes. It also affects your thinking. So when you get the low blood sugar, it causes your thinking to go down. Otherwise, also too much fat too, which is unsaturated or polyunsaturated fatty acids. That's another invasion. It's all in those foods there. Soy products are all in packaged food because it's cheap, it's a filler, it's an emulsifier, and for men, it's absolutely terrible because it destroys testosterone. So there's some examples, and I can go on and on and on the consciousness of invasion. Not to mention, like our own personal thoughts. How many of you at one time or another have thought about, I'd like to be successful. I'd like to travel the world. I'd like to do something amazing. And then pretty soon you start thinking about, well, I don't know how I can do that. I got to pay the bills, and how am I going to be able to get away? Well, there's an invasion right there in the thoughts, which leads right into the secret number one of map training. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really pleased to announce that we have our map training book is completed right here. So I'll give you guys information on how to get one of these if you'd like to, which explains everything that I'm going to talk about tonight in detail. So I'll talk about that a little bit towards the end. But the first one is we have to get a mindset that is infallible. Our mindset that makes us feel invincible. And this is really the main thing. When I was 32 years old, I walked away from everything. I was really quite successful. I owned a couple of pieces of property and was building a pretty successful business here locally where I live. And at the same time, thanks, Jeanette, for your comment on the book. Appreciate that. And you helped me out a lot with the editor, so I really appreciate that as well. Anyways, I was doing very well, but there's something in me that was not right. So I spent 35 years of my life studying with indigenous medicine men to discover what it was. And what I discovered is this part of me, my own soul being that I wanted to have a relationship with and bring forth into the world in a powerful way so I can influence my life and my family and raise them with this consciousness. And I'm glad I did because I got 5 kids. They're all extraordinary individuals. I've been blessed. And I've been sharing these concepts with them ever since they were little and helping them as they were growing up. And it has had a significant impact on them and then my friends and also my students that are worldwide. Sharing these ideas of what I discovered out there in the mystery. But the first thing I had to do is I had to get my mind hit and mind right and my attitude right. And having a good attitude is not necessarily going to get you there. Because what are you going to do when things get a little tough? And your attitude goes, I don't know, this is getting pretty hard right now. I think maybe I'll go back to what I was doing before, which is a little easier. But we lose sight of our dream. Our dream's gone. It went by the wayside. We bought an illusion of something else that took off our focus. So 35 years was focused on finding this thing, building a relationship with my own soul and spirit so I could be able to come back and bring back this knowledge to you, and which I'm sharing every week here on YouTube. And I'm going to be also in Boulder this coming weekend doing this live. So if you happen to be in the area, you can attend the workshop. We'll give you more information about that at the end as well. Um, I had a lot of dreams that I wanted to accomplish. And one of them I've mentioned, might have mentioned before, which was I wanted to go to Paris for lunch. Does anybody have a inkling or something frivolous and superfluous as such as that? Going to Paris for lunch. I wanted to go there and sit on the Champs Elysees, play my guitar, drink wine, eat cheese and bread. And I wanted to see the people. I wanted just to be there. I didn't want to be a tourist where I'm running around looking at everything there. I just wanted to be on that boulevard at a cafe, drinking wine and cheese, eating wine and cheese. I did that. A fabulous, amazing experience. I ended up going there for a couple of days. I ended up staying in 3 weeks. And I'm just playing my guitar, entertaining people, playing on the street for whatever I can gather. And every day, just from the money I made, I was able to buy my food and a place to live. It was a fabulous experience, and I encourage everybody to start exploring your dreams. What are your dreams? Take a moment right now. If you got a pen and paper in front of you, what would that dream be? What would you like it to be that could change your life? What could get you so excited that you'd be willing to do the work to get that mindset? The mindset. In Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, the first chapter is called Thoughts Are Things. So if you are thinking a certain way, it can disrupt your personal performance. But if your thinking is of being focused on what your why is, like take just a minute, which I just said just a second ago, write down what your why is. What gets you excited? What would really pump you up? Everybody that's on that has come on to the Facebook Live presentation, type in there your why. So that I can see a few people's comments, okay? I'd like to talk about that for just a minute. It's real important. So everybody kind of type in what's your why. What is it that you could get really fired up about that you might like to be able to make happen for you in the next 12 months? What would that be? Come on. Somebody give me something here on Facebook. Type in something, get a quick post so I can see what that might be. Anyways, while I'm waiting, we'll continue on here. So, without that why, you have no direction. You have nothing that's going to get you up in the morning. There's nothing going to drive you. My why is very interesting. My why was when I was in high school. I was ready to drop out, and my grandmother asked me to graduate, and I didn't really care. But she said, "If you won't do it for yourself, would you do it for me?" And I said, "Grammy, if that's what you want, I'll do it for you." Well, that's exactly what I did. Is I did it for her. She was my why. And that drove me through graduating from high school. And as I got through high school and went into college, my why became a little bigger from where she set the foundation from. And then I had this why of learning about me. What's going on with me in the world, and how am I interacting in the world, and why is the world reacting to me so in such a way? That became a new why for me. But if I didn't get that first one, which is what I call building a ladder, you put a ladder and you build a rung in the ladder and you start to work your way up to the side of a building. And as you get to the top of the building, you realize you look out and over the world and you see a vista. And in that vista, you see another building. And in that building is your new why. That's where I need to go next. But here's the thing is, if you didn't build that first one, you never would have the ladder to climb to the top of that building and look and see that vista way out there where you could be able to go and make another rung in your ladder that brings you up to another level of confidence and of courage and of being able to move your dream into its physical reality. So the first one is, let's get your why put together here. Make that clear exactly what it is that you want to have happen and why you want it to have happen. And it's all explained very nicely in the book. So if you guys want to get some information on that, or get the book, then I'll tell you how to do it in just a few minutes. But the why is absolutely critical. Number two, is setting a complete concrete goal. Goals are really important, but it's not the goal that you want to attain is what the goal is. What you want to do is you want to master the journey of the activity that you need to break down to on a day-to-day basis, which I call taking a bite out of the elephant. The goal is the elephant. If you take a bite out of the elephant every day, and eventually you will have eaten it, and the elephant now lives in you, and that goal is now yours. But you have to have visualization that it actually is yours, and that's rule number one. Having a visualization, you can actually see it. Number two, having the goal to be able to set the foundation for it to grow upon. Now, number one is building the foundation. If the foundation isn't working, then you can't build. It's like a foundation based on eggshells, coffee grinds, banana peels. You try to put a seed of a desire into that, it won't grow. So the idea of the why has to have fertile ground. So you got to work with somebody, get a mentor to help you till the ground so you can get access to that fertile ground. And you do that, you take in your thoughts and you put them into a writing program, which becomes a churning mill for you to be able to turn it to dark, loamy earth to plant your dreams into. So the first one is get those thoughts really clear. Second one, have a goal to be able to help you get direction, because without some way of monitoring the goal too. So you have to have a way of looking at the goal. Am I doing the successful action on a daily basis? Is my success happening by accident or by design? So that's what we want to do. We want to help you be able to do that through you identifying the procedures you need to do to get there, and also be able to monitor your activity as you're progressing through the successes in your life. Number three is having a childlike imagination. Imagination is really important. And having that childlike imagination is absolutely critical. And most people have a problem with imagination after a certain age because there's certain parts of their lives that now have become really challenged, and thus imagination you don't have time for. See what happened when we all enrolled into school at kindergarten at age 5. We moved to this thing called curriculum, and curriculum is cool. We learn stuff, but at the same time, it kiboshes imagination. And imagination is where your creativity is, where you'll be able to see beyond your classroom. You can actually sit in the classroom and see yourself sailing on a ship towards an island that's got treasure on it. And without that imagination, you couldn't visualize the whole thing working. So when you have your why, how can you, through your imagination, would you be able to make your dream come true? How can you imagine it working? If you have a problem with imagination, maybe you need to form what's called a mastermind group that helps you drum up ideas. So like, for example, I have 4 mentors that help me with my imagination to turn my imagination into a reality. I have a magic teacher. I've got a professional magician that works with me. I got a business coach. And I have a personal friend who's a mentor to me that we bounce ideas around all the time. I want those ideas that can keep growing and expanding. And if you don't have the ability to do that, then the dream stops. Number 4 is called the mystery. You know, a lot of us start on a journey and we have an attitude that, well, you know, I hope it'll work. But if it doesn't, I'm going to fall back on what I got. The mystery is something where you don't stick your toe in. It's a place where you jump into. And the mystery is the only place where your why is going to come into its full forming of its being, not by just sticking a toe in. That's commitment. There's a poem by Goethe. He says, once one is committed, then providence moves to a whole array of things you can never imagine will come your way. So you just start, you go into the mysteries and you begin. And you begin work doing what I call going to what's called a seat of meditation. Is these actions that you would do on a day-to-day basis. They may be boring to some people, but by doing them repeatedly, you do something amazing because you're learning the language, the woo is called the goddess Fortuna, to wake up and assist you, and she does. The mythologists from around the world tell us these stories that when you go out into the mystery, you encounter friends and support. And that's the third characteristic of map training, is to be able to create relationships with these invisible energies that are all around us that help us become more and more successful. So the mystery is this place that this really can't define it other than it is a place that you only know about by going and doing it. Like, for example, I've been through traditional tribal initiation. Now, for me to try to explain that to you and some of the aspects, it would not do it justice unless you experienced it yourself. Now we have something that we both have a relationship with that we can talk about. But until you've done it and haven't done it yourself, you wouldn't have the foundational realization of what I have had by those experiences. But vicariously, you are able to roll along with it through my experiences, but the full implications is until you've jumped into the mystery yourself. So what would that look like? Imagine a big forest right in front of you. And as you walk into it, you can feel the trees part. And as you enter into the forest, the trees close behind you. And you enter deep into the mystery, and that's where the transformation begins to take place. The mystery is like a caterpillar that goes into a chrysalis, its cocoon. You can't see what's going on there, but when it comes out beautiful. There's a change that has taken place. Every time you go into the mystery, you come back just a little bit different, a little better, a little more focused, a little more grounded. Each time that you do this, the magic begins to take place at whole nother levels, and your life begins to expand and grow like you wouldn't believe. Number 5 is the illusions. There's illusions that take you off your focus and your center every day. One of the biggest illusion manifestors, is television. I don't own one. I have the video if I want to watch, I've got the computer if I want to watch a movie, but I don't watch TV at all. What I like to do is, which I never thought I'd doing this when I was back in high school, is to read a book. I consume about 1 book a week because I don't watch television. The television time I'm using to feed my head knowledge and information that will help me do my life better, give me information that will help my life become better. And that's what I'd like to see you guys do too. But the illusions are the environments that say, Janet, you're on here with me tonight. I can see you. Hey, Brooks, good evening. But Janet, you can't have your success because you don't have a PhD. Well, that's a lot of baloney. That doesn't mean nothing. PhD is nothing. It means piling it higher and deeper. It's great if you got one, but it's not necessary for success in life. I have a number of people that have PhDs and are students of mine that are learning this technology, and their lives are becoming extraordinary because of that. And I want you guys to have the same opportunity too. So these illusions are great. They're fun if you're watching a magician. If you're watching a magician do his magic, and we're amazed by the illusions that take place. Like, for example, here is what I call pirate GPS. Pirate GPS works this way. Which way is the treasure? It's that way. That's an illusion, but it's fun. We find it interesting. We always have a good laugh about it. But what's really most important is that if we buy the illusions, it takes us off our focus and we lose what's really most precious to us, and our why never gets established and never grows, and it never happens. Ladies and gentlemen, you have an opportunity right now to totally change your life, and no matter how old you are, where you are, what's your education, those are all irrelevant. You can change everything tonight and make your why start to come real to you. I'm 65 years old. I feel like I'm 25. I just feel like I'm a kid in a candy store, having the time of my life, traveling around the world, seeing all kinds of amazing sights. All my kids are now raised. I get to go visit them and my grandkids, and I can leave the kids and go on with my life. But to get there, years ago, I did what I'm telling you guys tonight. These 7 secrets. That's why I put them into a book for you, so you can all be able to take advantage of that. Tonight is your opportunity to change everything. It doesn't have to be. If anything in your life that you're not satisfied with, you can change it tonight. That why can change your whole world tonight. It doesn't matter what it is. And don't let money, time, education, a grumpy boss, crappy president, all those things are irrelevant to making your dreams come true. If you buy the illusions, it stops you dead in your tracks. And right there, I teach a lot of mythology from a different texts, but every single mythology that I know of, every story talks about the first day. The first day in one's life is 30 years in chronological time. In mythology, it's one day, but that means 30 years in chronological time. That's 30 years that go by, but you haven't had your dream move forward. There's a story of this boy, and it's called a book called Iron John. I encourage everybody to get a hold of it and read it. It's a fun book. It's a great romp. It's about this boy, this prince, who discovers this wild man that's put in the courtyard of the king, and he's playing with his golden ball one day, and it rolls into the kingdom of the Iron John, and he goes up to the cage and says, "Hey, give me back my golden ball." And the little giant Iron John says, "Yeah, sure, no problem, but you got to let me out of the cage first." The little boy runs away. That's the first day. That's 30 years. An illusion was bought that took you off your center. What has it been for you where you ran away? Think about that for a second. Where did you run to? What did you run from? I always tell my students, run to the roar. Run to what scares you. Because it's just trying to scare you away, but you run it, it'll turn around and run away from you. I've been in the wilderness many times where I've confronted bears and mountain lions. Every time I chased them, I looked at them, roared back at them, they ran away. It's funny. I don't know. But the illusions, they stop you. They make 30 years become 60 years. And pretty soon you go back and you're looking at your life going, man, all this time went under the bridge. What the hell happened to me? What happened? And if you're doing this, which is blaming something out there, you got to do this to claim it all. And there's amazing things when you do that, when you decide to claim it all. If you ever played baseball, you don't grab a bat like this. You grab it and grip it so you can get a full swing at that ball. The same thing you got to do here. But if you're buying the illusions, it's playing baseball with your fingers like this, trying to hold the bat. You're not going to get a good swing. So that's number 5, illusions. Number 6 is recover what's called your golden ball. Now in mythology, which I was talking about, the story called Iron John, if you lose your golden ball, that's your connection to the universe and the invisible powers that are out there that come in and assist you. Having your golden ball in your hand gives you power and influence in the world, and most people lose it around 6, 7 years old. It happens through what I call a betrayal of the soul, which leads to the workshop that I'm going to be doing this weekend, which is called Healing the Betrayed Soul through map training. Our souls have been betrayed. We've been betrayed by relationships, by our government, by our bosses, by our friends. The betrayals are endless. And each one of those betrayals have been manifested because a long time ago, about 5, 6, 7 years, when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, you lost that golden ball. Those of you, I'm sure you remember the story of the Princess and the Frogs. The princess playing with her golden ball one day, throwing it up in the air, and it drops into the well. And the frog comes along and says, listen, I'll get your golden ball, but you let me follow you around for a couple of days. She says, sure. But that was not her intent at all. She just did it so she can get the golden ball back. That's one example. Iron John, the little boy, is playing with his golden ball. It rolls in the cage of the wild man. Wildness gets locked up. The frog is an example of wildness. The wild man in the cage is wildness locked up. Now, wildness isn't about going in and tearing up a china shop. It isn't about going into hotel rooms and tearing them all to pieces. Wildness is different. Wildness is a grounded sense of wisdom that comes from the invisibles and from the universe through you. It's not necessarily wildness can't be found in this book. Wildness can only be experienced by going into the mystery. But most people are afraid to go because they are holding on to what I call frivolous dreams that really don't supply their desires in life. I desire for you to experience your dreams in a huge way. But when you embody wildness, which is really a cool way of living, you embody the power of the universe coming through your veins. I remember one of my initiations, I went on this vision quest, and my teacher was Archie Fire Lame Deer. And when he put me into what's called my Hunka Wakan, which is my sacred altar on the mountain, he told me to give me everything I had. He gave me this little tiny blanket. I think it was about 5 by 6, very loosely woven. I'm standing there in just my shorts. I had nothing else on except that. And he hands me some tobacco. He says, pray hard. What would you do? My first night on the mountain, the wind's starting to blow. It got pretty cold pretty fast. I got to experience that concept of wildness on that mountain, that energy of the mountain, and have it come through me. It was an amazing experience. Yeah, it was cold. But I also connected something pretty bizarre too, because about 3 o'clock in the morning, a pack of coyotes came and visited me. And they were all around me. And they never came inside what we call prayer ties, which is basically a string with these little bundles of tobacco tied all around them. And the coyotes didn't come in, but I could feel the warmth coming off of them. And prior to me going up, Archie, he gave me the stick. He says, I asked him, what's this for? And he says, it's to keep the coyotes away. I had to laugh. But he said, don't worry about it. They're your friends. So I started researching out. I did have my chart done. I realized that I had like 5 planets in Mercury, which is, that's the Roman god, the trickster god, and Hermes, which is the Greek version. That was one aspect of my relationship with the world of the invisible, which manifested in the form of those coyotes. That's what I call a consciousness and relationship with wildness, where I embody this wildness and bring it into my life, and I give it form where we can bring it out in the world and dance. It's not about hurting people or taking people out. It's not about power. This is all about empowerment, empowering you to make your dreams come true. So recovering your golden ball is essential. Most people don't have it. They've lost it. You got to recover it. It might take some time to do it. I've had one of my students been with me now for about 7 years. And they said, I'm beginning to feel the full essence of that golden ball now. I know exactly what you mean and why I always felt like it was not happening for me. This is really cool. And I'm so excited that you're all here tonight and I'm sharing this with you all. And I'm hoping you're hearing me because I desire so much for you to experience what I have experienced in my life if you haven't already. But I'm looking for you to increase that at a whole nother level. Why not? We're only here for the blink of a gnat's eye. How are we going to write our epitaph? What is it going to say? He bitched and moaned his whole life and he died. That's not going to be mine. Mine's going to say he danced through the whole life and partied. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm sitting there drinking down beers all night and taking shots of tequila. That's not it either. I have one person just typed on here. Is one lady has been with me doing this work for over 12 years. Rhonda, how you doing? She's done amazing work. She's getting her graduating very soon, getting her BA in psychology. Be the first one in her family to graduate from college. She reclaimed her golden ball. She reclaimed her wild and said, let's get going. Let's make things happen. That's number 6. Number 7, secret. It's all the law of attraction. See, going back to the introduction, our thoughts have to be in the right place. See, if our thoughts are not in the right place, the law of attraction, see, it doesn't discriminate. We will attract that energy into our life. If it's a destructive energy, we're going to attract that into our life. And it'll keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. We leave a relationship because that one was whacked. We soon attract another one that's just as whacked as the last one, and we can't figure out why. The reason it's happening is because what has happened in your interior psychology, the consciousness of your soul's voice has not been able to get the essence of what I call its being. Now, to create a relationship with one's being is that it's not something that can happen overnight. Looking for the McSpiritual burger served after 11 you're not going to find it. But one's being is that you know your seed, root, stem, and flower. You know where you came from. You know where you're planted in. You know how you grew. You knew what seeds you were now sowing into the earth. If you don't like those things, you can change them all. Now, you certainly can't change your parents or where you came from. No matter what race you are, you can't change that. That's your seed. But you can plant that seed with a good attitude and good fertile ground. And it doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what sex you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. Those are all irrelevant, and that's all the bullshit. Excuse me. I just got carried away. But it is. It's all the bullshit that those people out there want you to believe is true. And that's not true. Because I have people from all races, all ages, all sexes, all irrelevant. When they apply these principles, life changes. It moves in a phenomenal way. So, when you're lining up the basic fundamentals of this whole thing, and you put everything all together, your dreams start to materialize like an avalanche. The money that you always dreamed of making starts to come to you in an avalanche before it kind of trickles down at you. Maybe paycheck, you get 2 paychecks a month. What if you could get paid every day? Would you like that? You can. Everybody you can. It's working for me that way. You can do that too. What if you wanted to walk away from your job tomorrow and go to Tahiti? Can you do that tomorrow? What if you could? Would you take advantage of it? If you did, it's because you created that scenario for you to happen. And the law of attraction came in and began to carry you with phenomenal, giant steps to where you wanted to go. The law of attraction is you're attracting people at the same vibration that you're at. If you're down here and you need to be up here, through the map training work, you're able to raise your level of vibration up And as you do that, you're raising and you're connecting with people who are vibrating up here. They have the resources. They have the connections. They have the fortitude. They have all the things that you need that you can leverage, that as a matter of fact, they're going to give you to help you succeed. Every single one of them. It's amazing what happens. Let me share a short story before I conclude tonight. When I was doing my graduate work many years ago, I had a student that I was working with. He had no money. He was a young man, about 17 years old. He was having a hell of a time in his life. Imagine being 17, no father. Your mother's, doing the best she can. You're 6'2", full of testosterone, and you tower over her, and you're going to do whatever the hell you want to do. They didn't know what to do. They brought me in. I started working with a young man. Within a year's time, he went from flaking out, falling out of school, causing all kinds of trouble, to graduating from high school. We did it with a GED. And he went right into a gemology school and got his degree in gemology. But we found out was one, we started working with him to help his voice, his soul voice, sing and be able to talk and sing and be somebody that he wanted to be. And he was able to make things happen because of his dream, putting it into action and taking it out of the mystery. Well, for a year, I didn't get paid a dime. Didn't want any money. They didn't have any money. But I got a call on Sunday night from this grandfather. He says, how you been working with my grandson for a year, and how you survive? How you making any money? I says, well, I got people that are successful, and they help me out. But, I didn't get by. He says, I'm going to send you $5,000. As a matter of fact, it's already been mailed. You should probably get it Monday or Tuesday. Well, on Monday, I needed to have $5,000, exactly $5,000 to pay for my tuition, because my student loan hadn't come through when I was doing my graduate work. That's the law of attraction. When you start to raise that vibration up, things begin to happen at a whole nother level for you. Now, what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to give away this book. All you got to do is pay for the shipping and handling. It's about $6.75. The book sells for $40. I'm going to give it away to you tonight. $6.95. Pay for the shipping and handling. I will send you, each one of you, a book. Free. All you got to do is go to my website, ninomiami.com, and you tell me what your why is. You tell me why you want to have that why. You give me your address and your information. You can pay for the $6.75 online through on my website there, and I'll mail you this book free. All you just pay for shipping and handling. $6.75. Nothing. And you can have this book. It's forwarded by my good friend here, Michael Patrick. He's a multi-millionaire. He owns a company called Patrick International, which is a very prestigious not a law firm, but a firm that finds the top 1% attorneys in the world and places them in the best law firms in the world as well. So that's it for tonight. We have this workshop this weekend. If you're in the Boulder area, it's going to be at 1025 Rosewood Avenue, Suite 202. Thursday night, I'm doing a free lecture on the concept. I hope you guys can come if you guys are in the area there. If you want to know about other workshops that I do, go on my website at ninomiami.com or leave me something here, and I'd be more than happy to correspond with you, answer any questions you might have. Don't be shy. Get the book. $6.95. Shipping and handling. Insurance. I'd be more than happy to mail it to you. These are going to print on Friday. So I'm going to be doing the workshop in Boulder this coming weekend. So when I come back, I'll ship it out to you. But you need to make sure that you send me your information so I can get it to you. So next Tuesday, well, we're going to be reporting on our workshop, which the workshop is called Healing the Betrayed Soul. And so the subject will be that next Tuesday, Healing the Betrayed Soul through map training. It's been a wonderful pleasure for sharing this time with everybody here. It's kind of weird because there's really no feedback. I'm just seeing people on the list here. We had a nice group of people that tuned in tonight. So thank you very much, everybody, for taking your time out and letting me share a little bit with you this evening. So with that, I say to you, Mitakwe Ease, as they say in South Dakota with my teachers up there, all my relations. You have an extraordinary evening, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday here on Map Training with Nina Miami in the world of Facebook. Good night, everybody.